All right. Hi, everyone. Today, I'm very honored to introduce with us Daphne Bryan. Daphne Bryan, PhD, is the author of the book titled Parkinson's and the B1 Therapy. After being diagnosed with Parkinson's disease over 15 years ago, she was told there was no way to halt the progression of this condition. In 2017, she was introduced to the work of the late Dr. Antonio Constantini, who pioneered the use of high dose of vitamin B1, thiamine, as a treatment for Parkinson's. Although not a cure, Dr. Constantini and his team had treated over 2,500 patients with thiamine and witnessed amazing results, far beyond what could be expected from traditional medications. A few months after starting B1, she eventually noticed that many of her symptoms had all but resolved. After networking with many others who were also seeing similar improvements, Daphne dedicated herself to providing detailed guidance on how to use the therapy from a layman's perspective. Daphne is also a musician, teacher, and holds a doctorate in music psychology. Her work and insights have been an invaluable resource to me, my dad, and my family, and I'm very grateful for her to be with us here today. Daphne, I really appreciate you coming on for our listeners. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Um, so I'll start this off with we got to ask you, what were your symptoms that led you to seeking out medical help?
Well, I had rigidity, so I had a mask face, and my daughter used to say to me that I looked miserable all the time because I couldn't smile. I had slow handwriting, very small handwriting. I was finding it difficult to type. I couldn't double click on the mouse. I'd lost my sense of smell. I had a tremor. I had fatigue, bradykinesia, slowness of movement, and anxiety. But the one thing that sent me to the doctor was the fact that I could no longer play the piano.
Mm.
And as I was a piano teacher, it was important that I was able to demonstrate to my pupils how to play something, but I could no longer do that.
Yeah. So you get medical help and uh, and they come up with a diagnosis, right? So what were your initial thoughts when you got that diagnosis?
Well, I was completely shocked. I hadn't expected it. My doctor had thought that I had a trapped nerve in my neck, and my physiotherapist thought that I had focal dystonia.
Mm.
But I don't know why I hadn't thought of Parkinson's because I'd grown up with my grandmother living in our house, and
Mm.
she had Parkinson's. In
Mm.
fact, she had a head that shook all the time. And one of my first thoughts after the diagnosis was, please don't let my head shake like my grandmother's. I also was concerned whether I could be an invalid, dependent on others, because I'm a sort of personality that likes to be in charge. And I was also mourning for the fact that I wasn't going to have the future that I thought I would have.
Then how did you come across Dr. Constantini's work?
A friend of mine sent me a link to an article and a research paper on Dr. Costantini, and it explained how he gave high doses of thiamine to his Parkinson patients and that their symptoms improved by up to 70%, and their progress of Parkinson's seemed to be slowed, if not halted.
Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah, you get the Parkinson's diagnosis, you come up across Dr. Constantini's work. Oh, what were your initial thoughts of his work in the B1 therapy?
Well, I wasn't expecting a miracle. It had been 7 years since my diagnosis, and in that time, I tried various things. I tried diets, exercise, meditation, qigong, um, and so I tried many things and been disappointed. So I think I wasn't expecting a miracle.
Yeah, yeah. But you started it anyways. And um, what did your doctor say when you initially spoke to her about this B1 therapy?
Well, I checked out with the doctor whether she felt that it was safe to take because it was high doses. If it just been a supplement, I think I wouldn't have bothered. But she had no objections because she said high doses of B1 was used in other health issues for recovering alcoholics, for example.
Yeah.
So she didn't know about the therapy, but she said she had no objections to my taking it.
Yeah. Well, that's really great. It's it's excellent that she was open-minded to it and allowed you to start that. And yeah, B1 for Korsakoff syndrome and Wernicke encephalopathy and these types of other diagnoses have definitely uh, B1's been a big part of helping people in that way. So that's amazing. How long did it take to start noticing positive changes?
It was probably 6 to 8 weeks before my friends noticed. It took me a bit longer, in fact. But I was chatting to a friend one day and telling her all the new hobbies I'd just taken up. I said, I'm now training a choir. I've invited some piano pupils back, and I'm learning a language, and I've taken up watercolor painting. And she said, Gosh, you must have a lot of energy.
Yeah,
And I suddenly thought, I'm still going to bed fatigued,
yeah,
but I'm actually doing much more in the day before I reach that stage.
yeah.
And then I went for a massage. I was having a regular massage, and my therapist said to me that my muscles were much more relaxed and more pliable. And because that was significant because I had such tremendous rigidity with the Parkinson. So this was improving. And then a funny thing happened. My husband and I went to a concert. And of course, when the music finishes, you all applaud.
Yeah.
And the music finished, and I started clapping. And I suddenly realized I can clap again.
Wow.
And by then, I was thinking, I think something is happening with this B1.
Yeah. Wow. That's powerful. Uh, what kind of thiamine B1 did you take at first? Because there's different types, right?
There are different forms of thiamine, and there are different ways of administering it. Four, really. Dr. Constantini used intramuscular injections, and for the people who couldn't use injections, he recommended oral capsules, tablets, or powder.
Yeah.
And now people are using patches, B1 patches, which they cut to get various doses. But what I chose to use was a dissolvable tablet that I would take sublingually.
Mhm.
So I put it under the tongue, and as it dissolved, the B1 in the saliva passes through the mucous membrane round the tongue
Mm.
and enters the bloodstream.
Yeah.
And you have to keep the saliva in your mouth for about 30 minutes for it to work. But I thought that was a better way than oral because you have to take much more if you're taking it orally because so much gets lost through digestion.
Yeah.
And because with Parkinson, a lot of people have constipation and not a very efficient gastrointestinal digestive system,
Yeah.
it, I thought the sublingual would suit better
Yeah.
and I wouldn't have to take so much.
Yeah.
But all of those are using water soluble thiamine.
Yeah.
Dr. Costantini did all his research using water soluble. So that's thiamine salts, hydrochloride, or mononitrate. So if you take it orally, you need to take hydrochloride, which is slightly more water soluble than mononitrate. But
Right.
if you're taking sublingual tablets, then obviously it's not going through the digestion,
Right.
and it's not a the problem with um, mononitrate if you're taking it orally is that if you're susceptible to kidney stones, it might cause a build-up and cause kidney stones. but sublingually, you don't have to worry about that.
Great. Yeah, yeah. I saw when I first came across those studies, it was before I came across your work. When I first came across those Constantini studies, it was pretty amazing. It definitely blew me away, and it was amazing that he was using thiamine hydrochloride that whole time, and getting just tremendous results. You hear a lot about the benfotiamine now, and you hear the fat soluble versions, but it's amazing how the great results that can be done with the water soluble types. So that's great. Um, and I believe you set up a Facebook group to support people who are also using the therapy.
This was a way of spreading the word and of offering support. And my Facebook group has over 12,500 members to date.
Yeah, I'm a member. It's a lot of great information in there. Super helpful, and it's so powerful how community can disseminate information faster. People learning, people being able to share what's working, what's not, and it really does help. So thank you for putting together that group. You didn't have to do that, and creating that community's been just tremendous for so many people like myself and my dad and my family. So um, that's awesome. Um, you know, all these years and managing this Facebook group and seeing patterns, what have you found that people find to be the biggest challenge in implementing the therapy?
I would say undoubtedly getting the right dose. Unfortunately, the therapy is not a one size fits all. And if you don't take enough, then nothing happens. And if you take too much, you can temporarily see worsened symptoms. So you've got to find the sweet spot in the middle.
Yeah.
So that's the main challenge, I would say, that comes up in the Facebook group.
Yeah. Yeah. Seen that. Yeah, that's yeah, everybody's different and everybody's demands for B1 seem to be different. It's amazing how much B1 when you really read the papers and you look into the science, it's amazing how much B1 we just use on a daily basis to run all of our metabolic processes. You'd think you'd hear more about it from your doctor, how
Mm.
important it is as a nutrient. Um, but you know, this is such a great book. I don't know if you can see it, might be a little blurry. Um, and tell us a little bit about this book, Parkinson's and the B1 therapy, and what motivated you to write the book.
Well, it's a manual. So I wanted to write out clearly the protocol that was going to help people find their right dose. It's also got a section on the research, detailing it and discussing what little research there is. Because the research we've got is only based on case studies.
Yeah,
And it's also got success stories in it. I think I was motivated to write it because I kept answering the same questions on the Facebook group. And I thought it would cut down on my workload if I had a book, because then I could just say to people, read the book,
yeah,
which I still do at times. But the book I felt was a further way of spreading the word
yeah,
and provides a manual for people, as I said. But can I also mention the profits from the book?
yeah.
And the book has sold over 25,000 copies to date in 14 languages. But the profits go to a GoFundMe campaign, which hopes to raise enough money to do a gold standard research, double-blind, placebo-controlled. So we have to raise €1 million.
Hmm. Hmm.
I've managed to donate over €30,000, which sounds a lot of money, but it's only a drop in the ocean on the way to 1 million.
Well, I'll tell you, 30,000 is more than other people have done, and it's amazing. It's a great book. it's a very needed book out here because other than Constantini's work, which is pretty recent, you go back and the only real published studies you can find are the Japanese studies from some while back, and it seems like these breakthroughs on B1 as a therapy, they kind of stop after after Constantini, but before that, they had studied beriberi in Japan. You would think there'd be more research because there's been so much, just such amazing results with helping people. So this, this book's proceeds going towards that gold standard, double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized trial. Um, I think the sentiment itself and gaining creating more awareness in people to help raise money for that is so important because we need more studies. So especially with Constantini gone now, unfortunately, this book and all your work is really kind of taking up that torch where he left off. So that's amazing that you're doing this, and I recommend everybody buy the book. It's a great book, no matter whether you have Parkinson's or a family history in Parkinson's in your family. It's just it's a great manual if you want to learn about vitamin B1 and how crucial it is to health. Um, so, what would be your recommendations um, to someone who's starting out on the B1 therapy?
Well, obviously buy the book and read the book and read chapter 3 several times because that's the protocol instruction.
Yep.
Um, Join the Facebook group and read up all you can there. Before you start the therapy, I would recommend making a list of your symptoms and then as you go to trial a dose to write down on a daily basis how your symptoms are so that unlike me, you don't rely on friends telling you you're better because you will have noticed it.
Yep.
Um, I think another important thing is to be patient. Occasionally, I get a post on the Facebook page which says, I've been taking the B1 for 2 days and I don't feel any better, which always brings a smile to my face. Because I think if you understand what the B1 is trying to do, then you can see why it takes 6 to 8 weeks. Dr. Costantini explained to his lay patients that in the Parkinson brain, there were neurons in 3 stages of health. So you had the healthy ones that were producing lots of dopamine, so that's fine. You had the dead ones that no longer produce dopamine, and there's nothing that can be done with those. But that there was a section in the middle where the neurons were not dead, but not as efficient as they might be, and they were gradually getting weaker. The
Mhm.
B1 has the ability, Constantini um, hypothesized, the B1 could revive these ailing neurons and get them to fight another day. And with the continued use of B1, ensure that the ailing neurons didn't die.
Yeah, that's powerful. Um, where can people find this book?
Well, it's available in various online bookstores and in every Amazon around the world.
Perfect. Yep, that's where I grabbed mine. Amazon came quick. I couldn't start reading it fast enough. Um, so you've gained a lot of improvement and from the B1 therapy, and you're really such a great example. Um, what was your neurologist reaction from your improvement?
Well, the neurologist I spoke to first about the B1 therapy, when I went back to her, I think she was impressed, but that was all. I think I was disappointed because I felt that it should be. This is astounding. Everybody should know about it, but I didn't get that reaction. And since then, I've moved. to Scotland. So the neurologists I see now didn't see me before the B1 therapy because I've been on it for 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
But she and her Parkinson nurses are all very impressed that after 15 years of Parkinson's, I can present like a person with no rigidity and no bradykinesia and a very small drug support.
That's amazing. Yeah, 15 years is a long time. And, you know, Parkinson's hasn't been a part of my family history, but uh, I've been around Parkinson's, and yeah, 15 years is just extremely rare for you to be able to achieve the results you have with that diagnosis. So that's amazing. Um, what are you really enjoying in life right now?
Oh, what am I not enjoying? I just enjoy not having to think about Parkinson's or on-off times, and I'm enjoying looking after my 6-year-old grandson and having the energy to do that. I'm enjoying playing the piano again and teaching again, just generally living a full life.
That's awesome. Where can people find you and your resources?
Well, the Facebook group is called Parkinson's B1 Therapy, and I can be asked questions on there. We also have a website which is aimed more at health professionals rather than the layperson. But the website address is b1parkinson.org.
Mhm.
And of course, if they live in Scotland, they can come and knock on my door.
Great. Well, Uh, that's very generous of you. These resources are amazing. Your website's great. The Facebook group is great. The book is great. I'm going to link all of that here for our viewers on the description box below. I really strongly encourage um, everyone, even if Parkinson's is not part of your health path or family history. I think this is really, really interesting information. Um, and for us, look, my dad was diagnosed with a totally different diagnosis, another neurological disorder, right? Early onset Alzheimer's. But through that time, he had developed some Parkinsonian symptoms, right? Some of that rigidity, bradykinesia. And that's where I found you because I started looking at things that could help. And of course, searching, finding Dr. Constantini's work and then finding your work. It's been tremendously helpful. And B1 has been super helpful for him. It's something that he doesn't go without every day. And being able to read the book and go into your group and find what doses help certain people, um, I can't thank you enough. And again, thank you for coming on for our viewers. It's very impactful, and I know a lot of people are going to take value from this. So. Thank you for everything you're doing, Daphne. You don't have to be doing this. Thank you for all the information you make widely available for everyone. For a diagnosis that causes a lot of suffering for a lot of people, you're really a bright torch that's helping them. So thank you again, and yeah, looking forward to connecting with you soon again. Thank you.
Thank you.